In a previous video, we worked to break down the master boot record and a partition table entry using the position manager for the X-Ways forensic toolset. In this video, we're going to dive a little bit deeper and start to work on examining the partition table entries and the individual components that make up these entries. We're going to continue to use the X-Ways forensic toolset in our work, as well as corroborating our information and what we're seeing in other tools. We're also going to continue to use our textbook material and other resources that we've built up over time in this course. So let's get started. We know that our first 440 bytes are the boot code, followed by the disk signature and the undocumented components for 2 bytes. We're going to really start our work here diving in and digging deep with the boot flag. This is the first structure in an individual partition entry for a total length of 1 byte. So the boot flag is the structure used by the loading components of a computer to identify which partitions are active and contain a bootable operating system. There are only 2 states, inactive, which is 00, or active, which will be represented by the hexadecimal offset 80, or the hexadecimal 80. That would be right there for 1 byte. We can see here that 80 is active, 00 is inactive. In the master partition table, with all the partitions you can have in here, 3 primary, multiple extended, or 4 primary, you can only have 1 identified as active. And that's up to the individual user. It doesn't have to be the first partition entry. So let's just remember that 1 partition table entry will be active, and the rest will be inactive. Let's continue on here with the starting CHS. Starting CHS refers to cylinder head sector, which was a commonly used total capacity navigation structure for older hard drives. CHS was the way to calculate how large these older hard drives were. We've since moved on to newer structures such as the LBA or logical block addressing structure. But in older hard drives, you can see that CHS was very much present, especially on these older drives. Hitachi Desktop here, cylinder head sector. There are formulas to be able to figure out the total capacity of those drives. Oftentimes the drives would print the total capacity themselves, but you can work through this structure to figure out the total capacity of that drive. Newer hard drives move to LBA, which is logical block addressing, and references the total number of sectors that are available for a particular storage medium. Here we have the partition type. The partition type is going to be varied. The partition type is the single byte hexadecimal value. That can be looked up, and it can be used to figure out what the master boot record believes this partition to be. Each file system, NTFS, FAT32, FAT16, exFAT, EXT, EXT4, whatever it happens to be, all has a particular flag or identifier that would be here. And in this case, the first partition entry here for 07 would be the NTFS file system. But just note that this could be a wide range of values here. The ending CHS, very similar to the starting, also helps us identify the management structures and total capacity of a given storage medium. Here we have the starting LBA sector offset. This helps us determine where our partition starts. Enabling your data interpreter here, if it's not already visible or online by default, we can see here that 8 bits in a byte. We're going to be looking, and this is we know that from our guides, starting LBA sector offset is for a total length of 4 bytes. And we can see that for a total length of 4 bytes, 8 bits in a byte. So we're going to be looking at the 32 value here. That would tell us that the partition starts, the starting LBA sector offset, tells us where on the storage medium the partition itself starts. So that's 2048. We can also see that this is corroborated by using MMLS, which is a partition table analysis tool from the sleuth kit. We can see here that the first partition starts at offset 2048. 2048. That's where it starts. Now, we can also move here to see the partition sector count, which is how many sectors are associated with this specific partition. And this number can vary wildly, just like this starting LBA sector offset can vary depending on where you are on the partition. You know, you can only have one partition that starts at 2048 on a given storage medium. The next one has to start a little bit before or a little bit after. And then the total partition sector count is how many sectors are associated with this. It's largely representative of the size of the partition. In some other tools, that's also called the length, which is represented also here in the sleuth kit, where we can see that we have a total of 4,096,000 sectors that are associated with this particular partition. So this was the breakdown of a partition table entry in the master boot record. So move through it slowly. Use these structures, use these guides. You don't have to work through with the position manager, but the colored breakdown does help. Using your guides, you can easily walk through using a plain hexadecimal editor such as X-Ways Forensics to be able to move through the structure, find the key pieces, and help you continue analyzing the given file system that you're after.